All right, well, welcome everybody. I'm Jeff Scarlatta from Beyond the Range, and on the call today, as always, we have retired U.S. Marshal Charlie Moore. Charlie, welcome to the call.
Hey Jeff, how you been, buddy? Good to see you again.
I've been great. It's been a few years since we've done this. I had to move out of state down to warmer weather, and then obviously we had some other issues going on that I couldn't make it, you couldn't make it, but it's been probably 2.5 years since we've done one of these calls, and we put this under our lessons to be learned. If you think over the years, Charlie, we did calls on George Floyd, the Alec Baldwin shooting, we did Kyle Rittenhouse, we did Ahmaud Arbery. And we did a few other ones out there as well. And we kind of just try to bring some light to some unfortunate situations and how do we learn from it. And I think that's important for everybody to understand is we are not doing this call to express our opinion or to change their opinion of what they believe. But we just want to bring some facts to the light and have people maybe be able to make a smarter decision about their opinion based on more facts out there. Now, we do have to let you know to be cautious about uh, AI out there. There are already AI videos showing different scenarios of what happened with this current situation. So just be cautious of what you investigate on there. My sources have stated that they've done the AI search to make sure that it is not AI and that they are all facts. I can only go by what they are saying on there, so we'll kind of go through it from there. So, Charlie, before we begin, let's talk a little bit about you. So, you are retired U.S. Marshal. You got over 30 years in the Marshal, well, not in the you got 30 years in law enforcement, finishing up many of your years as a U.S. Marshal. Your wife also retired with 30 years or more in the Marshal Service. So give us a little bit about what you're doing right now.
Well, I'm still working for the government. So just a caveat, thank you everybody that jumped on. Today, I'm going to divorce myself, not from my wife, but from the government as far as my opinions, my ideas, my thoughts, my research. It has nothing to do with my current position. It has nothing to do with any prior positions. It's just based on my experiences and based on my research too, like Jeff said, from public documentation that's out there. Just based on the facts, we're going to try to divorce ourselves today from politics and emotion, which is going to come in very much when you start listening to the media or your emotions about what happened, whatever side of the fence you're on. We're just going to present the facts as we know them. And as Jeff said, we got to make sure that we have all the facts, all the videos. And currently, I don't think anybody does. I know I don't have every single thing that's out there. I certainly don't have any witness statements or anything like that. So this is based on what we know up to today, including some stuff we did last night. And again, this is just myself sitting down with some like-minded people that want to discuss, sadly, a tragic event that happened, and just to kind of learn from it in a factual basis, in a factual way. So I really appreciate everybody getting on here on a Saturday morning, including my friends out in the Central Time Zone. So look forward to it.
Yeah, you got to remind me that next time not to make it so early for them. I didn't even think about that. So, but before we begin, I do want to say, hey, any of my New York friends up there, Charlie is going to be coming up to teach a seminar in July. So if you're around the Syracuse area, or you actually going to be Syracuse and you're trying to get in Saratoga too, aren't you?
Yeah, Rachel and I are coming up in July to Syracuse, July 23rd through the 26th, full weekend of scenario-based stuff, some live firearms training, as well as Thursday evening, we're going to do a 2-hour free active shooter presentation for the public up there. And I know my good friend Chris out there and I did one that's still talked about down here over at the school way back when. So shout out to him. I see Mr. Greenhill there. So yeah, just something we want to do for the public up there. And as Jeff said, Saratoga, and we're still, certainly down here in the Southeast. So appreciate that shout out, Jeff.
Okay, no problem. We'll definitely give more information as that gets a little closer, as well as any registration or anything we can do to help out with that. So, all right, so let's talk about what we know about this before we play a video.
Sure.
So, a lot of the videos are condensed and only showing you the 45 seconds of the actual incident.
Yeah.
So, let's start from the very beginning. I'm going to share a video. Again, please be patient with my technology issues here of getting a video up on the screen. However, when I share a video, I am not going to, I'll share it on the first video, but the other videos that we're going to play, I'm not going to share any sound because I don't want the reporter or the person in the video influencing your opinion because they have strong opinions on what actually happened, and I'd rather have you guys just see the visual on it. The first one, though, is not bad at all, so we're going to kind of share that and kind of get a groundwork for where we're going to start the call today. So just give me a second and let me see what I got here. This first video is going to show what she's doing in the beginning before this whole situation unravels. So people don't realize that there was a kind of a pre-situation that happened before the incident. So I need to share my screen. All right, here we go. And this one, like I said, should have sound on it. So that's her beeping her horn.
Released a new video capturing the moments before a fatal shooting during an ICE operation in Minneapolis. The footage shows 37-year-old Renee Good blocking traffic with her Honda Pilot on a residential street. The over 3 minutes of video from a nearby building captures her blaring the horn as ICE officers try to get through. Eventually, some federal vehicles maneuver around her, and as she waves them on, officers from another car approach. That's when DHS says Good tried to run an officer over with her vehicle, leading to the fatal shots. According to the agency, she was weaponizing her car and impeding the operation for more than 3 minutes. But state Democratic leaders are pushing back hard on that narrative. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey told Meet the Press Sunday that Good was simply trying to leave the scene, not disrupt or attack anyone.
But let's talk about just that situation for a second. So there was a lengthy video that showed the whole entire time of her blocking traffic and kind of causing a scene by blowing the horn and everything. So she was actively, I'll say, protesting. And I do want to say this call is not about you being against ICE or being for ICE or anything like that. This is gonna try to be just a natural thing. And she was protesting, and protesting is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But Charlie, talk to me about what it means to impede an investigation on a federal level.
Sure. So it is important. I'll go over the case law just for those that are, like to do that. I would implore you to do it. Is take a look at why these investigations are done the way they are. And again, as I said, try to divorce yourself from any emotion, which is hard to do, and just go by the facts. And I have to say, one of the facts is in case law that the intent of the person, in this case, Miss Good, is basically irrelevant. The mayor, in my opinion, doesn't know what her intent was, just to leave or not. That hasn't been investigated, and it certainly wasn't when he made that statement. And again, nothing against him, but there's no way he would have known exactly what her intent was. And that's important when we talk about case law. But when Jeff mentioned impeding, and I looked it up last night again to verify it, is this has, again, just put yourself into the position not of whatever agency it was. This is how use of force events, incidences, occurrences are investigated and compared to the law in the United States. It's based on the Fourth Amendment. And it's Fourth Amendment protections that we have as citizens of the United States. And what Jeff is referring to is what they call 18 USC, United States Code 111, which is basically, in sum and substance, assaulting, resisting, or impeding officers. All right. And it's most common statute when charged when somebody physically impedes or interferes with a law enforcement officer of the United States engaged in their lawful duties. And there is no, I haven't heard any question other than the emotional viewpoint of what you think is, what your view is of the immigration operation that's going on. The viewpoint doesn't really have anything to do with that. It's impeding the officers in their investigation, and the ICE agency is a lawful agency of the United States, whether you like that or not. The way to change that is certainly, as Jeff said, by reasonable protest, which is certainly permitted and allowed and encouraged, nonviolent, obviously, codified by Congress. They have the lawful right to be there. So that's not a question, and you do not have the lawful right to impede or interfere. If you don't think she was, or they don't think she was, that's something for the court of law. Okay. So it is 18 USC 111. It's the most commonly charged case law, or commonly charged site law for impeding, interfering. I'm going to get the whole word here: assaulting, resisting, impeding, or interfering with law enforcement officers. So that's kind of what precipitated this contact.
Yeah, it was her pretty much stopping the ICE agents from getting through, and because of that, that is why she approached the car. Or that's why, I'm sorry, that's why they approached the car. So now what I want to do, Charlie, is I want to talk a little bit about the police officer or the ICE agent that actually discharged his weapon and shot Miss Good. People were saying that he directly stood in front of the vehicle
Okay.
when he really shouldn't have put himself in harm's way. But I'm going to replay that video that we just showed. And in reality, he doesn't go to the front of the vehicle to stop her. He's walking around the vehicle because of a discussion that she had about her license plate or something like that. And that's on another video. But he's walking around the video. And as he's walking around, he happened to walk in front of the vehicle at the time that the other ICE agents were trying to open her door. So whether she had the intentions to run him over or she had intentions to hit him or she had intentions to leave, we don't know. But what we can tell by the video is that she is looking out her left window at the ICE agents trying to open up her door. And then she turns the wheel and goes. But we're going to also have to talk about the OODA loop in a second on that. But what I want you to watch though is Charlie, and if you want me to stop the video when it's going on, just let me know. But we're going to talk about the front wheels, which way they're facing, and where he's currently standing. And then we're going to kind of come back on that whole topic. And then we're going to talk about the OODA loop. And then we got a couple other videos that kind of work from there too as well. So let me pull
Okay.
up that video again one more time. Okay, so again, this is the ICE agent's phone video recording, the one that actually discharges weapon.
Federal vehicles maneuver around her, and as she waves them on, officers from another car approach. That's when DHS says Good tried to run an officer over with her vehicle, leading to the fatal shots. According to the agency, she was weaponizing her car and impeding the operation for more than.
All right, so I stopped it right there because I want you guys to see that right now, as he's walking around the front of the vehicle, the wheels are turned to the left. And we're going to talk about the importance of that in a minute. And then you'll actually see when he goes around the front, you'll see when she turns the wheels to the right.
3 minutes. But state Democratic leaders are pushing back hard on that narrative. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob
You can see in the background the other ICE agents are now going to her door, which is going to draw her attention.
Frey told Meet the Press Sunday that Good was simply trying to leave the scene, not disrupt.
There you can see she just turned the wheel, started turning it to the right, and pretty much stepped on the gas. Now, what you don't realize, or maybe not aren't aware of this, is there's a lot of ice on the ground, and you actually see an ICE agent fall to the left side of the screen after the shooting. And that's all because of the ice. Charlie, let's talk about being in front of the vehicle.
Right.
Um, is that against the law for law enforcement to be in front of the vehicle?
No, and again, you have to put everything into the totality of the circumstances. It's a big
Correct.
word used, and it comes from a Supreme Court case of 1989 called Graham v. Connor. It is basically the umbrella for use of force by law enforcement in the United States. It's what they refer to. There's a recent other case that's going to come up. I can probably almost guarantee you, if there's such a thing, called Felix versus Barnes, which has the terminology in it called officer-induced jeopardy. And it basically is, officers placing themselves in jeopardy in order to facilitate and use force. And basically, the Supreme Court said in a 9-0 decision, which doesn't happen a lot, is you have to take everything into account, not just what has happened when you look at it and then go, oh, well, she was trying to leave, or his wheels were turned to the right. She wasn't going to hit him. That is not the totality of the circumstances based on the videos that I've seen and the one that Jeff showed you. The wheels were not turned to the right when he first started moving around. There's also something that gets out there quite often is in 90, I don't know of any state that says you can't, for most reasons, when a lawful officer asks you to exit the vehicle, including your passengers, you have to do it. You can fight it down the road, but if they're asking you on a lawful, it's up to the courts to determine whether it was lawful most of the time. So he's looking, in my opinion, and based on where his phone is, not at where the tires are, because we're going to talk about human factors and how, what happens under stress and things, but he is looking towards her and what's going on. They're telling her to get the F out of the car. And things that people say are going to come into play too, and the officers, and what her partner told her too, which was drive, baby, drive. So they all come into play. Everything comes into play, thus the term totality of the circumstances. So where his position is, I don't know because I haven't seen his statement. Is I can't tell why he stopped in the front or why he shouldn't, but it's he was walking around the car filming with his phone in his left hand at that time. So I don't believe, and that's just my opinion based on what I've known and seen, is that he was trying to stand in front of the car. It appears he was walking around the car, filming it, in absence of a body camera. So I understand.
Yeah. And again, it's my opinion. I think he was going around the front of the car to get to the door to help the other ICE agents. So could
Right.
be, you know. All right, now before we go on here, I want to talk about the OODA loop real brief here.
Sure.
I know, Charlie, you sent me an image of the OODA loop, but I had technology issues with that. So OODA loop, OODA, you observe, you orientate, all right, you decide, and then you act. All right, it's a common thing that's taught in law enforcement, kind of thing that's taught in military. It's not commonly taught to civilians, but the thing is, you go through an OODA loop probably tens of thousands times a day. You see a door open, you decide to close the door. Your shoe's untied, you decide to bend down and tie your shoe, or you decide to walk with your shoelaces hanging out. So you go through this OODA loop tens of thousands times a day and don't even realize it. And I'm going to put you guys through an OODA loop right now. When I say the word go, you need to raise your left hand. All right, now everybody make sure you know your left and your right because I got you on video. All right. But when I say the word go, you're going to raise your left hand. So when we talk about observing for the first part of the OODA loop, you need to observe what's going on around you. You need to absorb the situation that's happening. All right. Then you go to orientate. When you talk about orientate, how does that situation affect you? It may not affect you at all, or you might be involved in it totally and have to do something. All right. The D of the OODA is to decide. Well, you need to decide, okay, that's not going to affect me, so I don't need to do anything, or that is going to affect me, so I need to react or respond or whatever. And then the A is act upon your decision. All right. Charlie, when we talk about an OODA loop, how long is that process? It's like less than a second, isn't it? Sometimes.
Well, it depends. And just a caveat or dovetail off of what Jeff said, think about when you hear, see, or I don't know of anybody on the call, so excuse me if I missed something, um, an active shooter event. So this one helps me when I'm teaching active shooters. So Jeff mentioned observe. Observations, Jeff mentioned one, which was visual, and audio. Most people that hear gunshots, for example, in an active shooter event, initially they don't say they're gunshots. I can't see
Firecrackers, garbage cans, whatever.
firecrackers, something back because they have no orientation or a data default to go, wait a minute, that's not firecrackers, that's gunshots. So they have no orientation. So orientation is, do I have anything in my brain to connect what my observation is? Your observation, and most people think it's just what I see. It's not. It's what you hear, what you process, what your experiences are. Then you have to make a decision. Then you have to act upon that decision. And Jeff mentioned, law enforcement, military, all humans go through it, including the bad guys, is what is my OODA loop and how fast can I process it and how fast can I slow his or hers down so I can do certain things. So orientation is very important. It's that default mechanism that processes the observations so you can make a decision and thus make an action. And how fast it depends on how experienced and how good your orientation is and how much you've trained. So I can't give you a quantifiable number.
Yeah, and I didn't expect an answer on that. I expected exactly what you said was there is no definitive answer to how fast you get through the OODA loop. When your computer goes into that little spiral and it's there, some people get stuck in there. They don't know when to go and to react and do anything. So I just said go and not a single person raised their hand. You guys all just got stuck in an OODA loop.
Are you tripping?
So now you can chuckle a little bit. All right. You guys were so focused on one thing, you didn't even catch that key word of me saying go. That's like somebody saying, Charlie, we talk about this in our training. That's like somebody saying, well, I know how to react under self-defense. But if you don't really know how to react, or you never gone through that process, you're going to be stuck in an OODA loop. And OODA loops sometimes take a little bit longer for others, depending on the circumstances. Like Charlie said, if you've never been through it, You don't know. Hey, you see your shoe untied, you have two options, tie it or don't tie it. So that's an easy decision. But in a real life situation under pressure, people get stuck in the OODA loop. So now let's talk a little bit about the ICE agent's OODA loop. Under the circumstances of the scene, icy pavement on the roads, horns, people yelling, people arguing, stress of the lady getting not getting out of the vehicle. The other, I'll say spouse because they called her wife, is yelling at them and saying things as well. So, Charlie, it's an opinion, but where do you think his OODA loop is stuck at that time? What do you think he's focused on?
And again, I'm gonna just dovetail off of what Jeff said as far as time and how long it takes. I don't know if you've done this or thought about it, and I know, as Jeff said, I can't even figure out how these people do things with these videos. Is slowing down the video to analyze where the tires were is okay, but when the court looks at these things down the road, it is what a reasonable officer in the same position he was in, at the same speed, in the same time, knowing what he knows at that time, would he or she have made the same decision? It doesn't mean it's got to be perfect. It just means, is it reasonable? What they call objectively reasonable. So it's not, hey, look, and I can see she's turning her wheels to the right to leave. But he's most likely probably not looking at her tires. If you can even see where he's orienting his phone to, he's not looking at the tires. He has some more OODA loop observations. It's not undisputed, I don't think, that she revved the car up to leave in a rapid manner, I guess. When
And
you
there's a video out there. There's a video out there showing that the car was spinning its tires on the ice. So that means that engine was revving even faster than what we would think.
So, to add what Jeff said is think about when you hear, or some of you have been or are in law enforcement or know folks that are, you've had people that I've investigated in my prior life as a cop in New York is, hey, I saw the accident. What'd you say? I heard the guy really driving really fast. Well, you didn't see anything. You heard the car. Your mind has an observation that says, wait a minute, they got to be going really fast. In his instance, he's got a vehicle in front of him. He hears it revving up. And I'm going to give you the timeline here in a second, is he doesn't have time in this OODA loop process to go, wait a minute, where are our wheels turned? What's going on? Where should I move? Can I get out of the way? And again, it's not whether you agree or disagree with what ICE is doing. This is where human factors come in, and what a reasonable officer in his same exact position at the same time, knowing what he knew, would they have reasonably made the same choice? And that's basically what it'll come down to. So what his OODA loop was, I can't tell you because I'm not him, but I can tell you what the timeline is if you want to know.
Yeah, let's go to that real quick.
All right. So January 7th, 2026, 9:35:05. That's Minnesota time, or Chris time right now. All right. 9:36:51. He's walking around the car with his camera in his hand, he being the agent involved in the shooting. 9:37:08. The Honda is in reverse. The wheels are turned to the left. And now think about what he's looking at. Turn to the left is what the one Jeff just showed you. Okay. And 1 second or so prior to that, the law enforcement officer appears, based on his phone, to be looking towards the front of the car on the passenger side, looking across the hood. First shot, 9:37:13. 9:37:13. All right. At that moment, that's the one you probably have seen. There's a bullet hole in the front windshield. Okay. 4/10 of a second later is the second shot. That's 4/10 of a second. You guys that shoot are no shooters. 4/10 of a second is not very long. It's half of a second. Okay. And between this first and second shot, 399 milliseconds. And between the second and third shot, 299 milliseconds. And at 9:37:55, 3 seconds after the last shot, is when the vehicle crashes into the other parked car. The whole thing from shooting to that is about 3 seconds. So
Which,
when you're talking about processing, and hey, he could have jumped out of the way, and hey, he could have done this, consider what you've done if you've been a shooter or been on the range. Some guys can't get their holster out of or gun out of their holster in 3 seconds.
Yep.
Um, you're talking about all that processing in all that amount of time based on what he knows or has known at the time, all put into that point of when he decided to use lethal force at that time. And again, that's just the fact. Whether there's some question about the second and third shot, but that's up to figuring out exactly what he testifies to and gives a statement to and further analysis. But this is based on what we know right now. And that's a hell of a lot of time to process a whole bunch of stuff. Like,
And even when you talk about the second and third shot, sometimes that second and third shot is just I'll call it a reflex shot. Your brain is still saying to pull the trigger, but it hasn't gotten the message yet to stop pulling the trigger. And especially when you talk about taking three shots and it took a little bit over a second to fire off three shots. I mean, that's pretty fast. That's a reactive trigger pull, in my opinion.
right.
All right, so Charlie, I'm going to go to two different videos right now. One video is going to show what happened from the back corner of the vehicle. And then we got a
Okay.
second video, which is not really out there a lot, but I happen to find it from a different angle, and we're going to take a look at that as well.
Okay.
So I think I need to screen share again, so give me a second. So again, I'm going to try to turn the volume off on this one because this person would influence you on what they believe.
Yeah.
Just watch the screen. All right. I'll kind of talk as we go through it. So from the back left here, it's showing what's happening there. And I'm going to go back on that one more time. Watch, watch this agent right here that fired his gun. People are saying he's not even in front of the vehicle. And this is the big argument right now. He's not in front of the vehicle. He's not in any danger or anything going on. This is a slow motion shot here. Okay. And they're saying that he never even really got hit by the vehicle. Understandably. So, Charlie, do you want to chime in on this one at all?
Well, real quick, I know what you're going to do next. I think if you can stop that one, thank you. Is also if you got a split second, Jeff, back up and consider what case law basically says, and I'll give all of it to you toward the end so you guys can take a look at them. Graham v. Connor, Tennessee v. Garner, and a few other cases that I'll give you guys that want to research this kind of stuff. Is he also we can use lethal force when we believe and this is civilians too, for the most part, absent, some of you know about the term duty to retreat, but absent that is you can use lethal force when you believe your life or someone else's is in danger of death and or serious bodily injury. I don't know this for a fact. I've never talked to the gentleman that used force. But I don't know if he's thinking, as you watch the officer who's at the door telling her to get out, whether because there are some reports, most of you or some of you have probably seen that he had been dragged, meaning the shooter, previously. Is he thinking this guy's going to get pulled down and hurt too? Because you can see him stumble toward the end because he's trying to grab the door handle to extricate her from the vehicle, it appears. So take a look at that and in what is going on from his perspective, meaning the officer involved, of which we have to consider without the benefit of 2020 hindsight.
Now, right now, you can't see the shooting officer. He kind of comes right from this window here, comes right around the front here. But remember, he's going to be in an OODA loop. He's going to be stuck thinking about what's going on. He's going to hear the engine revving, and he's going to see the car starting to move forward. Now, which way it's moving, he's not going to be able to process that, but we'll play it from here again.
Well, his tires are to the left still, and he's off the front, right?
Right
Basically,
now, I think he's still over here to the right front quarter panel.
right.
So see, now he's walking around the front. You can barely see him in the background. Tires turn. You see they already spun a little bit. He drew his weapon. And
See,
now he's firing. Okay. Now let's watch this one. This car's going to drive away for a second. And this is where they give their opinion on what happened. I don't want you to hear that part. Okay, now watch this from the beginning, from the front on the right side of the screen here. Not that one. They're going to come back and they're going to show it again. So from the right side, right where my mouse is here. Okay, here's the vehicle. It's pulling forward. Oh, do you guys have me blocking the screen blocking it? My Zoom screen is blocking it. But
I
you
can
can
see it.
actually see that the guy gets struck by the vehicle. I'm going to go backwards just a little bit. Okay, so this is the shooting officer right here. Okay, and the car's coming at him right now. Okay, so that's a different angle that not everybody is seeing out there. Charlie, give me your thoughts about these two different point of views.
Well, and that's the thing is, hopefully they're going to go around and ascertain or acquire videos from all perspective. But and again, it'll have to come to time, and I can guarantee it's probably going to, where they have to show it in full motion. We're all slowing it down and pulling it back and dragging it. That's not how you evaluate this. You have to
No.
evaluate it from the way he saw it. And I'm not saying we're not doing it for illustrative purposes, but and again, it appears that he's struck by the vehicle, or at least he's jumping out of the way. Um, but again, it's kind of like you and I talked about the other day. People are like, well, he barely got hit. Okay, but you know that after the fact.
Right.
It'd be like, hey, the guy pointed the gun at you and he only shot you in the arm. Well, in order to ascertain that or figure that out, you'd have to let him shoot first. So I think those that are saying, hey, barely got hit, are kind of missing some of the point, in my opinion, is look, to know that, you'd have to let the car drive at you. That is not the definition of apparent imminent threat of their danger,
Correct.
deadly force or serious bodily injury. You don't have to wait for the deadly force to be implemented for you to go, oh, well, I should have moved or I shouldn't have. So, yeah, I mean, it's a split second decision under stress and something that's ever evolving and changing. And that's wording from the court.
And to kind of work off of that, look at somebody that comes in and robs a bank, has a toy gun in their hand, but they're pointing it at people.
Right.
You don't have to wait till that person shoots somebody to realize that your life is in danger. Well, let's say it's a real gun, or if it's a fake gun. I don't know that. I don't have to wait to find out if it's a real gun or not. Excuse me, before you rob this bank, can you tell me if that's real or fake? You don't have the time for that. So that is the impression and the imminent fear of death or great bodily harm that people are talking about. Sometimes you can't prove it. It happens way too fast. And so we don't really know. Did that car hit him? Did that car not hit him? But I can tell you, my opinion changed a little bit when I saw that officer getting hit with the vehicle. All right. And I'm not going to tell you which way it went. It either went stronger or went more towards the other side. But when you look at that and you see the different angle, it makes sense that he's stuck in the middle of an OODA loop. He could have felt his life was in danger or somebody else's life was in danger. So when we go back to the facts, Charlie, let's talk about what we know about this and what we can see. I'll leave it with that with you. Go ahead and give me the rundown.
Well, again, I don't think we have all the facts, so I want to make sure we keep repeating that. You certainly got to know what the officers' statements are. I mean, I don't have it, and we probably won't have it all. I don't think any of us should be making statements of fact without all the facts.
Right, right. I agree.
Yeah, I know that. But it is, like you said, is we should be looking at it from the facts and try to separate yourself from emotion. And like you said, we just had this little discussion, and I hope we're going to open it up for others too. Is you have to make the decision that person made in far less time than that discussion you and I just had of asking whether the vehicle was in reverse. I guess my question would be, and I know you were just asking it, how the hell would he know?
I know.
Is but again, these are the decisions that we're talking about a law enforcement engagement. And again, I don't care whether it's ICE, the U.S. Marshals, the FBI, we're all in law enforcement judged by the same court cases. And again, before we leave, I'll send them to you all or present them. But those of you that carry a firearm for self-protection, they're going to be the same questions asked of you. The threat of serious bodily injury to self and others and the protection of yourself or others is pretty general across the gamut of law enforcement and civilians, except for the big one is duty to retreat if that's what your state has. So, when we talk about law enforcement, it's just difficult and stuff. You guys have to make that decision. And that goes back some of it is to, how do you train? How do you process? How do you just analyze things? So again, a lot of this to me is, human factors. It's what did he know at the time? What did he reasonably believe at the time?
Yeah.
And use of force, lethal or otherwise, doesn't have to be perfect. He could make an error. Let's say he made an error or a mistake. It doesn't mean it wasn't reasonable. It was just a human error. It
Yeah.
doesn't say we have to be perfect. It just says we have to be objectively reasonable. And that's
So,
down to the gist of the case, in my opinion.
okay, so I'm going to get ready to open up for questions here, but I want to kind of just refinish with this on my side of it.
Sure.
Um, we call this lessons to be learned. So, from this tragic situation, what can we learn, Charlie? What can we as civilians take out of this? And I'm going to tell you right one thing. Don't put yourself into situations like that. I believe, okay, it's fine to believe in what you believe in. It's fine to protest peacefully. It's fine to do what you need to do. But if you go out to a bar at midnight, there's a good chance something's going to happen. So if you're going to get involved in the protesting, you got to be on your game. You got to be ready because something might happen. And it might be something that you didn't cause. You might just be in the wrong place at the wrong time. So have your beliefs, have your feelings. Feel free to express those feelings and beliefs, but just be cautious about what situations you put yourself in. And I don't think it's that lady's fault. I think it just happened to be in a situation that escalated the wrong way, maybe on both sides. I don't know. But I like to say I like to just stay home and stay in my own little bubble. And when you stay in your own little bubble, less things happen. So, Charlie, do you have anything to add with that?
I'll just dovetail off of that, or follow up with. I don't, I really don't have an opinion on. I'm just looking at the event itself from the perspective of what's out there, the facts of what happened, how it came to be, why people are doing what they do. As far as the young lady, that's a personal choice. I'm not going to tell them not to protest or tell them, but it does go back to the thing I think I said at the beginning of when the mayor, Mr. Fry, said she was just trying to leave. One, you don't know that, but
Right.
two, whether she was or she wasn't, in most is basically irrelevant. It doesn't. It's what the officer perceived or the civilian. Think of yourself in a Target parking lot. Somebody you're pushing your cart or a buggy if you're down here, right, Beth? And somebody revs their car up, and you turn around and they're driving towards you, but you perceive at that split second they're going to hit you. It's what you perceive. If the guy, somebody says, "Well, gee, he was just trying to leave," and what, but that, it doesn't. I can't know somebody's intent. I certainly can't. And Jeff hit it. It's a tragedy when anybody loses their life. But again, I was just looking at this from the factual basis of
Yeah.
what we know at the time. And again, not as a cop, not as anything else, just as what I know from what I saw, like you guys on the public forum and talking to Jeff and like-minded folks and people that don't have like-minded, just having a discussion. That's about it for me on that aspect of it.
Yeah. I'd like to just add to this in there. You're going to see what you want to see. So if you're going to Google these videos and you're going to look for why the ICE agent was correct, you're going to find videos that are going to support that. If you want to find why the ICE agent was not correct, you're going to find videos to support that too. So you're going to see this from both sides out there, and you're going to find what you want to find. So I, like Charlie, like to separate myself from having an opinion, but I like to think, what could I have done in the situation to prevent that from happening to me? And that's just kind of where we go with the lessons to be learned. So, all
I
right,
think,
so
like you
let's.
said, Jeff, sorry, I know we had a little delay. I think what you're saying is, and I learned a new word a couple of weeks ago, is confirmation bias. If you're looking for something, you can find something to confirm your biases, whether you are for something
Exactly.
or against it. So I try to look at these things as an open mind, regardless of my wife's prior background. And I've certainly done, use of force things for courts that it was against police officers. I'm just looking at, I don't care who it is. I'm just looking at it and
Yeah.
going, this is my opinion, this isn't. And that's kind of how I keep looking at this one. But, open it up, brother. Let's see what we got.
All right. If anybody has a question, just unmute yourself. If you can't unmute yourself because I have settings set the wrong way, just let me know. So as we wrap up here, all right, Chris, I see you popped on. Keith, you popped on, but it might be because I popped you guys on. Let me ask you guys this. Anything change your opinion or you didn't realize that happened on any of the videos or the statements from Charlie or myself that make you feel a little bit differently? Anybody have any thoughts on that?
No, I concur with everything you guys said. I mean, everything you said made perfect sense. It was kind of how I looked at the situation as well.
Okay. Thank you. I
Yeah,
appreciate the input. Anybody else?
sorry if I can just say, I really enjoyed Steel Manning, the argument from the other side. I think that's great, and bringing up some of the talking points that we've heard and hearing the counters to those. I also think it's worth talking about just how a lot of the videos are like either deceptively cropped to miss certain things
Right.
in the frame,
Yeah.
shortened, sped up even if you want to talk about it from the other side. I've seen some where the speed of the vehicle is sped up, and then as you said before with AI too, it's just going to create a nightmare for trying to find the facts from
Yeah.
just video alone.
Well, yes, I want to know what happened, but in reality, we may never actually know the true facts because of AI, because of videos or whatever it might be. So that's a great point that is, we're watching the situation, but we really don't even know what the right answer is. So I appreciate that. Okay. Anybody else? It is what it is. And even sometimes when the facts come out, you may not agree with it. I think Charlie, when Alec Baldwin had that situation, I think we were on different ends of our opinion, and it's okay. That's why we have these calls because I felt he was to blame. You maybe felt he wasn't. Either way, it is what it is. And when the decision came down, was I upset with it? Yes, because I think he got away with it, but it is what it is. So, all right. So, wrapping up here, Charlie, I really want to thank you for your time and your insight on this. I want to thank everybody for being on the call. I know some of you was a little bit earlier than I thought. I didn't realize different time zones, but that's okay. And I want to thank everybody for their input. I think this is the way we get better. This is how, we grow. We become more knowledgeable. We're going to be posting this on my page, my Facebook page, as well as my website under lessons to be learned. Charlie, you had mentioned that possibly we're going to need to do another call soon over the Mount Arbery case
Yeah,
because
no, sorry, buddy. Yeah, only because I saw the thing I sent you that they're appealing their federal case, which is a violation of his civil rights, basically. Meaning that the shooter's violated because there is no federal murder statute that's already been taken care of. And again, I thought that was a good call. A lot of feedback, and a lot, especially for Beth, who lives down this way too, is certainly local for us down here. But there's so much legal things that I really like to research and try to
right.
figure out. So I
And
know
I know
folks
we've
are
talked about
interested.
doing more calls of these. So as unfortunate things happen in the world, Charlie and I are planning on doing more calls. Please spread the word. Let's get people on these calls. Let's share the knowledge because if it helped you, it can help somebody else as well. So as we wrap up, everybody, thank you very much. Have a good day. If you're in the snow storm area, please stay safe next couple of days. We're expecting ice, so I may not be able to post anything until early next week. So other than that, thank you, everybody. Have a great day.